They keep saying it's a joke. 51st state this, 51st state that. They might laugh, but we never found it funny at all. And for a lot of Canadians, that line was crossed the first time they said it. Donald might laugh, and his 77 million supporters might think it's harmless. Just look at these idiots.
Well, you'll have the opportunity to become the 51st state.
We're looking forward to having you as our 51st state.
With our Canadian friends, our 51st state.
For those of us on this side of the border, it was never a joke. And today I want to talk about why. Because a few of you have sent me something, a video that makes it really clear that it isn't just talk. This is the kind of video that makes you change how you see the 51st rhetoric. Thank you, Donna, Karen, and everyone else who has sent this my way. Before we get into it, I want to remind you what Lisa Murkowski said, and also Pete Hegseth, because their words tell you everything you need to know, and both have different meanings of what the 51st state actually means. Now, before we get started, stick around to the end of the video. There's a message from a Canadian TikTok creator that really hit home for me. It's powerful, honest, and it's something every Canadian needs to hear. And I'm not gonna lie, it moved me, and I think it will move a lot of you as well. Let's get into Lisa's video first.
I cannot explain President Trump's rhetoric about the 51st state. That is his statement, but I think it has been made very, very clear that most view that as nothing more than a positioning statement, if you will, something to maybe agitate. I don't think that that's constructive, quite honestly.
So all it is a positioning statement. That's all it is, right, Lisa? Just for negotiation, nothing more than that. That's what they keep saying, but we've heard it before. Keep this in mind as we go through these next clips. Now let's hear from Pete Hegseth what he had to say about the 51st state.
As a negotiating tactic.
It is not a threat.
How is it saying that Canada should become a state? He said we're not a real country before.
I think, your prime minister, I forget what he said within the last week or something, and said, this is he didn't use exactly this word, but a term of endearment. He
has said it's a wish, a desire, rather than necessarily a reality. You think it's a term of endearment, Ambassador Hegseth?
Yeah, President Trump doesn't invite people onto his team who he doesn't like, who he doesn't trust, who he doesn't respect. He wants a strong team.
All right, enough of Pete. I can't stand listening to this guy. He actually said the 51st state talk is terms of endearment. Come on, what kind of bullshit is that? It's not just insulting, it's condescending, especially coming from a country that's barely holding it together right now with the current administration. Now this next video, pay very close attention to it. Not just what's being said, but the location of where it's being said.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will attempt to be brief. This amendment basically to prohibit the Department of Defense, the President, from using military force to grab territory from Canada, Panama, or Greenland. We will remember during the hearing, Secretary Hegseth, despite Mr. Turner's noble efforts to try to give him an opportunity to say so, would not deny that they had a plan to use the U.S. military to, by force, take land from any one of those three places.
So no, it wasn't just a negotiation tactic, and it definitely wasn't some harmless terms of endearment. It was an actual real plan, a plan to take over Canada with military force. I still remember Trudeau, right before he left Parliament, saying that Donald was dead serious about it. Now it needs to be made official through the Senate, Congress, or whatever meeting this is right now, to pass an amendment that makes it clear. Donald can't use any military force on the three countries he's targeting.
I think that is a very bad idea for a number of reasons. Most importantly, it has been a cornerstone of our foreign policy since the end of World War I to try and put in place a rules-based international order. Now, I understand that is not perfect and certainly hasn't been perfect, but it is an incredibly important principle of international law that really didn't used to exist. Fascinating article in Foreign Affairs just last month outlining the history of it. And prior to World War II, it was kind of accepted that if countries wanted to take land, international law allowed them to do so. Changing that has given us the most peaceful 80 years in the history of human civilization. I know it may not seem like it, but by comparison, it is.
Okay, I kind of half agree with him on this one. Since World War II, we haven't seen a full-scale global conflict yet. But the way things are heading, you got tensions in the Middle East, Russia trying to take over Ukraine, and now Trump quietly setting his sights on 3 new targets. So yeah, I'm glad it's being finally discussed at the government level, and whoever this Mr. Smith guy is It's a sign that there's still a few sane voices left in the room.
If we, the United States of America, who was most responsible for positing that change in international law, just shred it to go after Canada, Greenland, and Panama, we are jeopardizing the very global security system that we put in place and offering justifications to Putin and Xi and others who want to do the same thing. It is horrible to talk about that as the president has. It's horrible that the Secretary of Defense did not even deny that there was potentially plans to do it.
This right here made me stop and say, what the actual hell? Trump's Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, a guy whose big qualification was being a Fox News host, couldn't even deny the plan. He had every chance to shut it down, could have said, there is no plan, or this is being blown out of proportion, or even just, that's not true. But he didn't. So what do I take from that? This current US government is full of bullies who don't care about the rules of Congress. And with the people they've got in their White House right now, I'm not taking anything for granted, or lightly.
Now, the argument will be made, well, you never know. Okay, do we really want to tie the president's hands in terms of using military engagement? And I will, admit I'm fond of the phrase, the future is notoriously hard to predict, but I will say that I'm going to go out on a limb on this one and say that we are not going to be militarily threatened by Canada, Panama, or Denmark through Greenland. That's not going to happen. And the risk of allowing a policy to stay out there that we think it is acceptable to threaten weaker neighbors, because that's all we're doing. There's no national security threat here. They don't threaten us at all. They have something that we want, so we've decided that it is okay to use force to threaten them, which makes us no better than Putin, because that's exactly what he's doing in Ukraine and the threats that he's giving to other countries. This is a policy that I think this committee should stand for. We should stand up for the principles of international law and not threaten our partners and allies just because we think we can.
All right, the video ends there. So this policy exists, and Mr. Smith is trying to get it amended. Let that sink in for a second. The fact that this policy even exists means that Canada, Panama, and Greenland shouldn't brush off the takeover threats or the 51st rhetoric. Because with someone like Donald, you just never know. One day he might just invoke it, just because he felt that we were too nasty to him. But if that day ever comes, I would like to believe that Canada will not be alone, that we will have the support of our international allies and the US citizens who still care about democracy and decency. Now, why does this matter so much to me right now? Why is sovereignty something we have to protect? This next video answers that. It made me proud to be Canadian, and I'm going to play it straight through, no interruptions.
I ran past this Canadian flag over here, and amidst all the hate that Canada's getting, there's a few words that I did want to say. 25 years ago, my family came to this country. We came here because that flag and that country was the only one that would take us. The only one that would take us from the aftermath of a bloody war, living as refugees in the basement of a shitty apartment building. This is the only country that took us in. I may not be born here, but I am Canadian. And you should be proud to be a Canadian. There isn't many countries like this. In the midst of all the bullshit that we are going through, and yes, it's hard, but I don't think most of you know what real hard is. Just count yourselves lucky. All right? Just count yourselves lucky. That's it.
This video is from a TikTok user named Yahtzee Runs. And I'll be honest with you, this one hit home for me. Because I've lived overseas and I've spent time in countries where poverty isn't just visible, it's everywhere. It's part of your daily routine. And when you come back to Canada after that, everything we complain about, traffic, wait times, cost of living, medical, it really starts to feel small. I used to be one of those people. But after seeing what real struggle looks like, something changes inside you. And that change, it made me proud. Proud to be living in Canada. Proud to carry a Canadian passport. That's why our sovereignty matters. Right now, more than ever, we have to stand up for our country, for our values, and for the allies who stand with us. We cannot afford to take chances with Donald Trump, and with this kind of leadership coming from the US right now, because Canada is worth defending, and we do not share the same values as the current administration in the US. And I know I'm not alone in saying this. If this video helped you to understand things a bit more, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. It helps get the message out to more people. Feel free to share it with your friends and family too. And if you're still here, check out the other videos that are showing up on your screen now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.